In this video, we're going to look at a table valued function and how to create it. And I'm going to use something we've been using throughout the videos today. The select statement. It takes the first name and last name and email address from the person.person table joined with the person email address table. And it returns a list of first and last names along with their email addresses. Look, Kim Abercrombie has 3 different email addresses. Let's turn this into a function. Okay, and it's really quite simple. I'm going to tab down here or get some space, and like everything else, we start with the word create, except this time we're going to create a function, and I'm going to call this one email addresses. I'll put the DBO in front of it. So what does this function do? Oh, it's a function, so we have to use open and close parentheses. Okay. And then we have to define what our function is going to return. It's going to return. It returns a table. Rather than money like we did the last time with the scalar, this one's going to return an entire table. Okay. And we're going to define this function as the select statement that we've been using in so many of our examples. And hopefully you're seeing something here. That when we do views and we do stored procedures and functions, okay, I've kind of used this same select statement several different times. Once in it to make a view, once to make a function, and once to make a stored procedure, that all did basically very similar things. So it's often true that you can use a function instead of a stored procedure or a view instead of a function. I mean, why do I need a function that returns addresses if I have a view that already does that, right? It just depends on what you're trying to do. They're all very similar in a lot of ways. All right, so this function we're going to create called email addresses returns a table, and it returns this table, the table of results that we get when we run this query that we've used so many times before. That's it. So let's run this and create our function. Incorrect keyword near select. Oh, I believe I forgot. I need to put this inside parentheses. See if that'll work. Still not right. And forgot my return statement. Okay, so we're going to return everything inside the parentheses here, which is a table of results. There we go. So create function, tell it that it returns a table as, now we have to define it. We have to tell it what we're going to return. We're going to return the table that comes from this query. Let's run this. Our function is created properly this time. And if I go over to my table valued functions and hit refresh, there it is, DBO email addresses. Okay. Now, how can I use this function? I can actually, since it returns a table, we can select from tables, right? Select star from and I probably should have gave it a name that distinguished it as a function, but I didn't. I guess that distinguishes it as a function that has parentheses after it. So since it returns a table, we can select from it. Let's do it. There it is. So if I wanted to, I could just say select name from email addresses. I don't know why I'd want to do that, but oops. Okay, so there I just got the name. So we can use that function in place of a table because it returns a table. So scalar functions, table valued functions. Your assignment, there's 2. First of all, you're gonna let me copy them. and I'll put them up here on the screen. You're going to create a scalar function to concatenate first, middle, and last names together. So it should print first name, space, middle initial, period, space, and then the last name. So a scalar function that returns that, obviously it'll return varchar of some kind. And then you're going to create a query from the person.person table that uses that function to return a list of full names of employees. Okay, so that function is going to have to accept 3 parameters, or 3 arguments to be stored in its parameters. And you're going to create a table valued function named phone numbers that returns a table of employee first and last names with their phone numbers. Are you seeing a pattern here? You used a query in the first 2 problems for views and stored procedures that you're going to be able to reuse here, except you're going to be doing it with phone numbers.